and welcome to the Home and Finance Show. I'm Kelly Vaughn, and I'm not your host of the show. In fact, the host of the Home and Finance Show are two home buying and selling experts right here in Indianapolis, and they are Janice Bradley, and she is the owner and broker of JB Real Estate Consultants.
Good morning.
Good morning. And then we have our second host, Diana Rice Wilkerson, who is a mortgage specialist with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
Good morning.
Welcome to your own show.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank
these ladies, you may not know them from WHMB TV 40, but they're pretty famous on the radio. So tell folks where people can listen to you and follow you on radio.
Well, we're on Saturdays afternoon from 1 to 2 on 1310 AM The Light.
All right.
317-239-1310 is the number to call in on.
Okay. So now, Diana, how long have you guys been doing radio?
About 18 years.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
18 years. Love it. So now here again, you're on WHMB TV 40. So what prompted the move from radio to television?
We hired somebody.
Well, there's that. So
We actually wanted to expand our reach from radio land to television land. And Kelly, as you know, we've been talking about this for a few years. And so as Janice said, we have been blessed to work with a team who has helped us get to this point.
okay. Now, people tuning in, they want to know about the new show. So what can people expect from the Home and Finance Show television?
Well, I would say pretty much the same. It'll probably be in a more condensed, fashion. But, our goal, of course, is to educate the community. We're known for providing straight talk in the home and financing of new purchases, new construction, listing, selling, refinancing, you name it. We just really try to get the word out to the community. And again, we're proud to be able to share with the listening audience straight talk.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask Diana, the straight talk and letting people, providing them with all this information. So there are apparently challenges out there for folks who are trying to buy a home, sell a home.
Yeah. The home buying process is a little challenging, I think, for almost anyone, simply because it's brand new. Typically, people may do it only once, twice, maybe 3 times in a lifetime, and rules change all the time. So our goal is to make sure that our community is prepared and understands exactly what's going to happen, because the better prepared they are, the easier the process will be. We also, too, help people understand how to get around barriers. So oftentimes folks will actually disqualify themselves because they'll hear information from others or television, and then they'll decide, then I can't buy a house, and they won't pursue it. So one of the things that we try to do in giving this straight talk is how you get around barriers and do not let those barriers stop you from pursuing your dream. We always talk about there's life after foreclosure and life after bankruptcy and life after a catastrophic event, losing a job or whatever. And this helps folks know, hey, I too can buy a house. I just need a plan, and I need a partner or a few partners to work with me, and we can make it happen.
All right, and you said that key word there, plan. Before we talk more about those plans, I want you to tell us about yourselves, your roles on the show, your roles in your careers, so the audience can get to know you better one-on-one. So let's start with Janice.
Let's start with Janice. Okay. Well, I'll be telling my age. There's no ifs and buts about it. Just sharing with you who I am. Actually, I started right after high school, right at the telephone company. So I worked for Indiana Bell, and you say Indiana Bell, everybody knows how old that is.
Right.
For 15
everybody's
years.
going Sprint.
Yes.
Like, what's
Indiana
that?
Bell.
Indiana Bell, exactly. And it just got to the point where I decided that my head wasn't shaped like a bell anymore. And I just had an opportunity where I met someone who was in real estate, and I don't know what happened to me. This was just something I knew. It just warmed my heart. And that's how I started. So I started in March of 80. I have been in the business 40 years.
Wow.
In March of 80, right. Okay. And I tell you what, this is who I am. I love the home buying opportunity to help homeowners. To be perfectly honest with you, didn't come from a family of home ownership. I don't have any problems just kind of sharing. We just had some hard times growing up, and we actually lived with a lot of family members, a good part of my childhood. So the very fact that there's 4 of us, every last one of us own our own homes, some of us 2 and 3 homes, it just shows you what can happen, in a lifetime when you actually have that goal.
So it's so much instability, as you said, as a child, maybe living with relatives, and in that position, I can see where that would set you up to love this profession,
Absolutely.
to seek that stability, and by providing that stability to so many other people.
Well, with me working at the telephone company, I was exposed to quite a few individuals who bought a home. And I just said to myself, they're doing exactly what I'm doing. I can buy a home. And that's how I started. I just said, well, this is for me also. So that's where the blessing came in.
Yeah, interesting how our hardships and our challenges and our journey that God sends us through, how it comes to fruition with helping others, as you have for so many years. So, Diana, what about you? Your humble beginnings.
Oh, humble beginnings. Well, I'm from a family of 8. There were 6 kids, and we rented quite a bit. And it's kind of hard to rent a property when you have 6 kids. And my dad was a paper hanger painter, and so we moved. Not a whole lot, but kind of more than what we'd like, and he would have to fix the homes up and that sort of thing. And finally, we rented a house that he was able to buy. He was a veteran. He used his VA to do that. I think that was brand new to him. He did not know he could do that. And so we ended up, my parents ended up buying a home and stabilized our family. As far as getting into this business, I started in banking many years ago. I started on the retail side of the bank, making loans for, buying cars and personal loans and things of that nature, and then moved to the mortgage side of the business. And when I moved to the mortgage side of the business, interest rates were 18%, fixed rates. I recall the day when we were, folks were picketing.
What did she say? 18?
Yes.
18. If you wanted a fixed rate mortgage, it was 18.
So what year was that?
And 80. Yeah, 80, 81.
Yeah.
Oh, I was in school, man. That was a good thing. Okay.
No one can forget.
I remember when rates dropped to 9% and we couldn't close loans fast enough. People were refinancing and we couldn't close loans fast enough. And so people were picketing outside of the bank because they were losing their interest rate. I mean, this was going on around the country because just everyone was trying to get off of the 18% onto the 9 or off of a negative amortization loan onto a fixed. I mean, it was kind of crazy. So anyway, I ended up in that position originating, then became manager of underwriting and then operations. So manager of operations, I learned the business from the inside out, which was the bomb because processing, closing, I closed loans. I remember going into my first closing, I couldn't even pronounce the word mortgage. It's spelled M-O-R-T-G-A-G-E. I couldn't pronounce it.
I had to practice too.
Mortgages. And so anyway, just through that whole process, I mean, when I got into when I graduated high school, which was 1968, that was when fair housing laws were coming into play, saying it was discriminatory to, red line and deny loans because the person was Black or, a variety of other things. So a lot of these changes have just happened in the most recent 50 years, and I've been able to be a part of that. After the bank, I went to INHP, Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership, where I was the director of mortgage programs there, and then Habitat for Humanity, where I was executive director there. I have a heart for helping people become homeowners, and it's really tied to that low, moderate income family. So, and then after Habitat, I decided I really wanted to do something more that connected me with the people as opposed to administration, managing, and so connected with Janice. We had met, we met when I was at the bank.
How did you guys come together? Because there's some powerful forces coming here, lots of experience merging together.
We met at the bank. I was at the bank.
Yeah, Indiana National.
Indiana National Bank.
We're telling our age again.
Yeah,
so
we are.
Younger people understand what that is. That was a bank here.
Praise God, we're here.
And Janice came to the office. I can't remember the reason why. But anyway.
I think it was some type of workshop that was going on.
Okay.
And I don't know how I even met you, but I remember being in your office.
Yeah. And when I got in the business, when I went back on the street, as they would say, to connect with the people. I'm like, I'm going to reach out to Janice Bradley. And so I connected with Janice, and then shortly after that, and I know folks will know these names, Yvonne Ferguson
Yes.
and Natalie Chavis were hosting Legally Speaking on 1310. I had financed Natalie's home, and they decided they wanted to do a show on real estate. So she called, she said, Diana, we'd like you to be a guest on Legally Speaking to talk about real estate. I said, I only know the finance side. You know, I think you need a real estate agent. And I said, can I bring Janice Bradley? Absolutely. So we meet, we go in, we do the show, and we come out of the studio, and someone here at the table has a bright idea. You know how those go, right?
Janice
That's
said
all
what?
I have is
What did
ideas.
Janice say?
You're
Someone
supposed
at
to
the
do
table
something
had a
about
bright
it.
idea.
Oh, God.
And the bright idea led to us talking to the director
yes.
of programming at Radio One. So we go to him and we talk about this bright idea. He says, you know, my grandmother raised me. She talked to me about not getting any girl pregnant, right? Finishing school, going on to be successful, never told me about credit, never told me about lending, didn't know. And he said, we would love to have you guys do this show. And that's how it began 18 years ago. And he knew that we were coming from a place, at that point, predatory lending was just
Prevalent.
and we were our community was preyed upon. And so, not to bash a program, because my belief is many programs they fit a need for someone. But at the end of the day, you need to know how that program works so that you're not getting into something that you can't manage. And so it was all about, and it always has been about, educating the community so that they can make good choices when it comes to their decisions.
Okay.
So that's how we got here.
And you said something there. You said serve all. And what I want people who are tuning into the show and who are going to come back on a regular basis to know, even though all three of us who are sitting up here are African American, this isn't an African American show. We're serving everybody.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
People tend to think
Yeah.
stupid stuff like that from time to time. So I just wanted to clarify that we're serving everybody. We just happen to be African American. So
That's a good point. Yes, we have very diverse clientele and customers, and our goal is just to educate everyone so that they're better prepared to go through this process.
why is it so important to help people out? And why is owning a home so important?
Owning a home does two things that are very important, in my opinion. One, it stabilizes your housing expense, which for most people, housing expense, rent, a mortgage is your largest household expense. Rent is going to go up every year, every 6 months. A mortgage payment, there may be changes because of taxes and insurance, but otherwise the payment is going to stay somewhat the same. And that's a big key item in terms of managing a budget for your household. The other thing is it's the easiest way to start building wealth. It's been documented. I mean, real estate is the reason for most, is the single most, I guess, and the easiest way to start building wealth, by buying a home, because real estate appreciates over time. So yeah.
So, and a lot of people think, oh, stock market, I'd like to get in that. I don't know how to do it,
Yep.
but I can buy a home. I
Right.
can try to figure that out. And of course,
Right.
there's a lot to that. Did you want to add to that, Janice?
Well, do we have enough time? Because it
Oh,
sounds
well-
like we might need to.
Well, you can tell she's running this show. I am not the whole, I'm just going to clarify that.
Okay, I just see people with waving hands.
No,
And
she is on. I'm telling you, these are some sassy ladies, and they're going to give you some straight talk on this show. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more with our conversation with Janice and Diana here on the Home and Finance Show after this. Has it been a nightmare trying to buy, build, sell, or refinance a home? Then wake up to the Real Estate Dream Team of Janice Bradley and Diana Rice Wilkerson. This dynamic duo provides you with up-to-date, honest information, credit counseling, financing options, and more. Don't listen to haters who say, you can't own your own home. Yes, you can. With Janice and Diana, call now and listen for them on the Home and Finance Show, Saturdays, 1 p.m. on WTLC AM 1310 The Light. back here on the Home and Finance Show, and we're talking to the hosts of the show, and they're telling us their history and why they chose to join the WHMB TV 40 family with their weekly show that will be. Tell folks when you're coming on a regular basis, the time, and then talk about the radio show as well.
We're going to be on the television show, right, on Tuesdays,
October the 20th, starting.
starting October the 20th from 9 to 9:30. And on Saturdays, we air on 1310 AM The Light from 1 to 2.
Okay, so
We want to share something with that also. We have 4 Saturdays, and the first, second, and third, we talk a lot about the home and financing, that type of thing. And on the 4th Saturday, which we're always very excited about, we chose to call that "It's All About Your Credit." You know, we found that when your lines are open, you get a lot of questions about credit, and that will just take care of your whole time frame. You know.
Janice and I used to plan for our weekly shows. We would have an outline of the topic we were going to talk about. We would have our guests. We were going to be talking, let's say, home inspections. But we also tell the listening audience, please call in with any question. So we might be talking about home inspections. Someone calls in about a question about credit, and all the lights lit up, and there went the conversation about inspection. And everybody had a question. This was every single time. We lost complete control.
so you're committing an entire show.
Correct.
Yes.
As we'll do this with also on TV.
Yes.
Yes, the 4th.
I mean, it's critical. And you mentioned earlier someone who, through growing up, they didn't learn about how to buy a home or what credit scores were. I don't think it really occurred to me. And maybe I was close to 40. Of course, that was just 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was just
But,
5 years.
I love
We
it.
got it. We got that.
But and my score's not much higher than that number. But by the way, no. But about that time, it occurred to me the importance of it and what I had to do to maintain it. And I don't know what's going on when you're like 20 and 25 and 30. You're just not thinking about it. So education is just so important when it comes to credit scores. So I can see why that's hugely popular. So want to talk some more about the importance of home ownership. And Janice, you had some thoughts on that.
Well, also, studies have shown stability for the family. Children do better in school. I always say it's just so much better to be able to have your own door. You know, so I've sold many a home that had a red door. People see a red door and that's it. I'd love a red door. But again, when you just think about, and you're teaching your family, one of the things when I first got into business, I'll try not to make this too long, but for some strange reason, I would ask them, who owns a home? Do your parents own a home, your grandparents? Because it did make a difference, okay? Because that was what they knew, so that is what they tried to do, because they were worried. Again, I did not. She did. She had a family that they owned their own home. So again, you're teaching your children from Jump Street when you have owned a home, because that's what they will do. And they desire that, and it becomes a part of them. And that's history for us, and that's how we obtain our wealth.
And which leads me to wealth building.
Wealth building.
That's a huge part of it, home ownership in terms of building up equity and being able to borrow against, and I've learned too.
When you said equity, Diana always likes to talk about that, so people understand exactly what that means.
Yeah, so explain to people, because I had a niece who asked me, she says, Aunt Kel, what is equity?
What is
What does home
equity?
equity mean?
So equity is the difference between what you owe on your home and what it can sell for. So if you owe, let's say $100,000 and you feel your home can sell for $150,000, then the $50,000 is your equity. That is also your wealth. So because if you in fact sold your home, in theory, you're going to walk away from the table with $50,000. Okay. And that has only come about as a result of you residing in this location, making your monthly payment, and the value of your home is just appreciated over time because real estate appreciates. Unlike a vehicle, vehicles, we've heard this, the moment you drive them off the lot, they depreciate. So that's another reason why everyone has to live somewhere. Even the person that's 70 years old, the first-time home buyer especially, that calls up and says, Diana, I'm 70 years old, and I really think I want a condo, but my family is telling me I'm too old. And first of all, that's illegal. that's discriminatory. We cannot discriminate because she says in 30 years I'll be 100 if I live to be that long. That is not even part of the equation in terms of
Can you pay is the equation.
And you have to live somewhere.
Right.
So whether you're 70 or 80 or 20 or 25, the goal is you would like your own place where you can control as much of that expense as possible, let that real estate appreciate, build wealth, and from that point, do with it what you will.
And I take it too as your equity also being an additional savings account. So you can use it for possibly school for your children, rehabbing, things of this nature. It's yours. It's yours. And I don't think people really understand they have something to fall back on. I know that's how I remodeled my house a couple of times. Use my equity, that way.
Which is a home equity loan, right?
You can do it that way, or
Okay.
you could refinance and pull out money to help out. But it's yours. It's just, like I said, an additional savings account.
Now, I didn't
that
know about
equity.
this refinance and then pulling it out. Okay,
Well,
that's
a
a whole other
nother
show.
That's a whole other show.
I gotta write this down. What is she talking about? Because I know about HELOCs. I just went through that. I
Yeah.
called you guys, a couple of months ago, and I'm going crazy. Like, I'm trying to do this HELOC, and people don't do the HELOCs like they used
No,
to.
they don't.
And the
No.
laws have changed dramatically as a result of the economic tsunami of 2008 and the
Right,
housing crash.
right.
And now I'm understanding, and let's talk about that briefly. People are trying to get loans, and it's not as easy as it was, say, 10, 15 years ago because they tightened up the laws.
Well, first of all, 10 to 15 years ago, you just needed to breathe. You needed to be able to breathe and write your name. And that is why a lot of folks got into trouble. And I
Exactly.
know people will differ from will have their opinion, but I feel a lot of people lost their homes not because they bought more home than they could afford. They bought a product. They financed that home with a program they couldn't afford. Who can afford, my payment started out at $700 and in 6 months it's now $900 and in a year it's now $1,300. Who can afford that?
And that's exactly
No one.
what happened.
And that's exactly what happened. So there has been some tightening up of credit. However, it's just my experience, it's not what people seem to think. No, you can no longer buy a home with a 500 credit score, right? A 500 credit score is indication that there's some financial trauma going on somewhere. That is not the time to buy a home, but you could do that 10 years ago. So the tightening up per se is not so much a negative. It's really forcing people now to straighten out your finances. We can help you do that.
have some
And then
protection.
you can buy your home. So it's still good.
Straightening out the finances, that's key. And
Yep.
and I guess I've heard too in the news that they are talking about loosening up some of those previous restrictions to get home buyers back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go over the details again about your program and who you are. And these ladies are the rock stars of real estate and getting a mortgage. And we're just here to educate you. We want you to come back every Tuesday at 9 a.m. to watch these ladies do their thing. You'll be entertained. You'll be educated. It'll just be a fun time because you're a hoot. And I just enjoy. We're so grateful to have you here. Oops, I touched my mic. I know they're going here on WHMB TV 40. Let's talk about the next generation. And what's it like out there for young people who are perhaps stepping into the housing market?
There are plenty of young people stepping out into the housing market. I mean, 20 some years old, they're getting started very early.
Okay,
I applaud
okay.
them for that. That is key, getting started early. I mean, if you get started early buying your home, you might maybe 5, 10, 12 years in, you might want to sell it, buy another home. I mean, you're building, again, you're gaining wealth. When you sell your home, you can make money. In most cases, you're going to use some of that money for down payment, maybe take some of that other money, put it in a savings account, maybe for your kids. Getting started early is the bomb. Now, I know that a lot of younger people initially kind of held back on buying a home, thinking more in terms of, I don't know if I'm going to stay here
Right.
in Indianapolis or wherever their city might be. In 5 years, I see myself in Atlanta or wherever. In 5 years, I see myself in the rocking chair. I will not be in Atlanta. But the whole point of it is that you've got to live somewhere for 5 years. So why not buy a home? Homes appreciate somewhere between 3 to 5%. This is normally. they're going up a lot faster now. We're going to have the realtor talk about that. But homes appreciate 3 to 5% per year, which means that if you're thinking about moving, say, in 5 years, still wise to look at buying a home and then selling that home, right, at the end of that 5-year period of time, taking that money and moving and maybe buying another home where you're moving to.
And they're over the rent. I think
They are
I think
over
the
the
younger
rent.
generation is also feeling and knowing what $1,000 or $1,100. They know that that's what they have to pay.
For
They don't have-
600 square feet.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of these efficiency apartments.
What is the fascination with apartments? Because I know some people who like that's the only way. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the house thing. It's too much trouble. What? It's almost like a different mindset. It's almost like have different parties. Political. You have the apartment people, and you have the. Not
We
being
know
able to see the
housing
value.
we know housing isn't for everybody, and or home ownership isn't for everybody. I think people forget about condos, and then they think that that's restricting them in a lot of different ways. 9 times out of 10 is your lifestyle. It's your lifestyle. So again, when you're paying this kind of money for the apartments, what are you getting? Is it your own door? You're restricted in so many different areas, and again, like we're saying, that rent goes up 6 months every year. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So
Janice and I had a younger person say he bought a house, he and his wife, 10 years ago. He said rent is like paying for storage.
Yeah, I use that all the time.
Are just paying for storage where you store your furniture and where you sleep.
Exactly, and I love it. I use that. Actually, you told on me now because that's something I use, and I thought, hey, I'd use that.
Well, guess what? We're out of time.
Uh-oh.
But you can see him again next Tuesday at 9 o'clock here on WHMB TV 40. The stars, the rock stars of the Home and Finance Show with Janice Bradley and then Diana Rice Wilkerson. Thank you so much.
Well, you can reach us. We need to give our numbers out.
Well, all that's on the screen.
Oh, wonderful.
It's on the screen.
Okay.
Folks
And
can
thank you
look
so
you
much,
up.
Kelly.
Your website, your contact information.
Fantastic.
And then, if you want to listen to them on 1310 The Light, is on Saturdays at 1 o'clock.
1 to 2.
1 to 2.
On WTLC Radio. So we appreciate you joining the WHMB TV family, and congratulations again on
Thank
your
you.
new
Thank
show.
you for having
you.
us.
All right, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kelly Vaughn, and we expect to see you next Tuesday at 9. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.